right. Well, good morning again. We've got another episode, 1,236 episode. No, I'm just lying. It's
close.
That's not that close yet. But anyway, it's another episode of Good morning, first of all, to the Yes Way Jose program. And, of course, it's Jose. But I want to make sure that you guys know that we want to make sure we're going to start off first with, what is our email address?
YesWayJosemail@gmail.com.
Yeah, we just were really inconsistent. Sometimes we putting it in, sometimes we do it late. Sometimes you have to remind me. It's just
we like to keep it, keep it interesting, make them wait for it. That way you have to listen to the whole episode. If you're just listening for the email address, sometimes you have to listen to
So
the
let me
whole
say, is
episode.
that organized chaos? Is that what we're going for?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We got a great guest for you here in a minute. We're going to tell you about a couple things here. But as we always like to emphasize that please just listen. Let us know your feedback, obviously, through the email address, which is?
YesWayJosemail@gmail.com.
You get to keep your job another week. All right. So, and I'm going to pay you double.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot.
So where's Eli had to go multiply?
0 times 2 is
0.
0.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the biggest thing is that we want people to know about folks in our community, but we want you to listen. Just take a few minutes out so that you see that we're just actually trying to get you more information about the folks that are in our community, really making a difference. And we got a great one for you here in a minute. But hey, listen, when we give these episodes out, we want to talk about weather because I'm still complaining about sub-zero weather in December. When did we talk about it like being 40 and rainy?
Yeah, if it keeps up this trajectory, it might be by the time
Arctic blast.
by the time this episode comes out, it might be like -5. Yeah.
And then we'll be thinking, we'd like just a little bit of heat wave. Can we just get to 0?
Yeah. Or you never know. Like I said, it's Kentucky, so like it might be 75 by January. Who knows?
If that happens,
you never know.
I could be scared. But anyway, so we don't know our weather, but we actually have colder weather now. But anyway, so when we do this, we're hoping that when this episode comes out, we want to make sure you know that we hope you had a great Christmas.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to a great 2025.
Yep.
And
by the time this episode comes out, we'll about half of the people listening will have quit their New Year's resolutions by now, probably.
They'll have that gym membership.
Yeah, this will be like the second week of January 3rd, something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of good things out of it. But I actually I'm very excited about our guest today because this gentleman here, and his name is Walt Sholar. Good morning, Walt.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. And when Walt and I talked about having him on the program, I was like, okay, do we have enough time, a couple of days, to discuss everything he's done in Bullitt County since he's been here? So, but we're going to get that worked out. We'll try to condense it so everybody, and a lot of folks know Walt, but he's obviously currently our county sheriff. But he's done a number of things, and I'd like him to introduce himself a little bit and talk about his family a bit and a little bit of history with you, Walt. So most people know it, but good morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was actually born in Virginia. My mother was born in, I presume, Louisville, but she grew up in Lebanon Junction. My family's been in Bullitt County since 1919.
Oh, wow.
My grandfather came here with the railroad to Lebanon Junction in 1919. Yeah. And after my father was in the Navy for 12 years, and he had to get out of the Navy because, unfortunately, his wife and a toddler daughter were killed in a car wreck, and left my older brother, who was at the time about 6 months old, for my father to care for. My father at that time was deployed aboard a ship on the Mediterranean Sea, and his wife was staying with her family in Munfordville while my dad was deployed. So Dad, he came home for that, and he ultimately had to take a hardship discharge from the Navy to come home and take care of my brother. Year or so later.
Understandable.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
I did not know that. I've known you a long time, and that's a great story. So proceed.
Well, a year or so later, he met my mother, and they married, and so I was born in 1957. I'm one of 4 surviving children that my mother and father raised, and about the time I was in the 7th grade, we moved to Lebanon Junction from Louisville. At that time, we had lived there. And then,
Lebanon Junction was the big town here, right?
Back in the 1800s, it was the largest. By the late 1800s, it was, but it was, they used to have a roundhouse in Lebanon Junction, if you didn't know.
What's a roundhouse?
A roundhouse was a facility that it had the ability to have a train track turn on turnstiles. so that they could turn a train around.
Okay.
Is that why it's the junction? Is that why it's Lebanon Junction?
Well, it's the Lebanon Junction because it's at the place that the L&N line to Nashville has a junction to turn to go to Lebanon.
So that's why they were the big town then, because we didn't have 65 and all that stuff. So that's why they were the big town.
Yeah,
correct. The railroad started, and they kept an engine at Lebanon Junction to help get the trains over the Muldrow Hill down towards Elizabethtown, and that's the primary purpose that it got started. It's kind of amazing. I've done some legal work for folks having to deal with the L&N Railroad, and the L&N Railroad, the old L&N, now the CSX Railroad, it has the land records of everything they've ever done. Now, you can get records from them that show where they built stockyards beside the railroad tracks at Lebanon Junction, and I'd never given that a whole lot of thought till I saw that. But the railroad was in the business of moving stock, and stock being anything that can be moved, not just we think of livestock. That comes from the root word of stock, being anything that would move on the railroad would be stock, and they had to take and prepare facilities for folks to get it to there, to get it on the train, so they could charge them for hauling it.
Oh, that's cool. I love history. We had the county museum on with Sherry and David, and it was great because that's the thing I want people to really do. I mean, I didn't grow up here. My dad was in the military. We were stationed in Fort Knox. But I like to hear the county's history, and that's a great piece of that. So, anyway, now you're in the 7th grade, and we're kind of moving along.
7th grade, moved to Lebanon Junction from Louisville, and went to St. Benedict Elementary School. Graduated from the 8th grade, I think, 1971. Then I went to St. X High School. My older brother, he went to Bullitt Central, and my younger sister went to Bullitt Central. But I went to St. X. Got out of school, went to Western Kentucky University.
Hilltopper.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Then I went to the University of Louisville School of Law, and started working here in Bullitt County in the legal profession in 1980. But I got my license in 82.
Okay.
I tried my first case in 1981 when I was a senior in law school.
Oh, wow.
Under a provision provided by the Supreme Court that authorized law students to work as interns in prosecutors' offices. Okay. So the first case that I ever handled was a homicide. And then graduated in 82.
No big deal. Just here's a murder.
The first case he gets. I mean, that's amazing.
I couldn't have a traffic ticket or something.
That's amazing.
Mind you, I had been working at the county attorney's office for 2 years before that happened. I started working in the county attorney's office in 1980. Wow. And Chester Porter was the county attorney at the time. And I learned there's not a day that goes by that I don't harken back to some lesson that I learned from Chester.
Oh, well, cool. I've heard good stories.
Anyway, 82, I got my license to practice law, and by the end of 82, I started doing public defender work and did that for several years. And 1989, I ran for county attorney, and so got elected and served as county attorney from 1990 to 2000, the end of 2010. 21 years there.
And it's a good run.
21 years.
Run. That's a lot of elections.
When I left the county attorney's office on a Sunday, I got sworn in as an assistant county attorney in Jefferson County on Monday morning at 8 o'clock.
Didn't want to take a day off?
Well, that's, actually, when I had never considered retiring or anything at that time, but went to work there, and that was in January of 11. By about March of 11, the county attorney's office down there assigned me to represent the chief of the Louisville Metro Police Department.
Oh, wow.
And I began doing that in employment cases, discipline cases, represented the chief, actually a number of different agencies. So the chief of the police department, chief of the fire department, Metro Safe.
Wow.
Did some work with the county clerk's office. And I continued on doing that work and primarily representing the chief of the police department until 2018, when I took office as actually, I guess 2019, January 3rd or so of 2019, I left Louisville and took my oath as sheriff of Bullitt County.
Yeah, so you're in the second term of the county sheriff. I want people to keep this right, because 21 years, okay, as the county attorney.
Yeah.
He's in the second term as the county sheriff. And you were the city attorney
I've been city attorney for Lebanon Junction, city attorney for Shepherdsville. I've represented the city of Mount Washington, representing their code enforcement division and doing some other various work for them. I came back out after I went to work in Louisville. My first government job back here was working for the city of Shepherdsville as the attorney for their civil service commission.
See that?
Yep. Now, when you swore in as sheriff, did you just immediately put the cowboy hat on? Because he's got a really cool cowboy hat on.
Yeah, he's got a.
He walked in. I was like, "That's what you want your sheriff to look like, with a cowboy hat and everything."
He looked just like a sheriff walking in here. And
Walker, Texas Ranger walking in here.
It looks great.
Actually, I've been wearing a cowboy hat for a long time. We have 5 horses, a total of 6 hoofed animals. I was about to say
it fits you. Not everybody can wear a cowboy hat and look.
So he looked good in a hat, but I'll tell you what, if you go in social media and you see he goes out west and rides horses out there.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have the moxie for the cowboy hat.
He's got the look, but he can ride the horses.
If I put a cowboy hat on, everyone will look at me immediately and be like, "He's faking." That is not real.
Really about the only thing that I have in common with real cowboys is I've got some of the injuries that they have. I've come off of more animals than I care to remember.
Hey, that counts.
I broke my back. I broke 12 ribs. Broke my shoulder blade. I've shattered my shoulder. Broke my arm in 2, and all of that off of not being able to stay on a horse when it went to bucking.
I just look like I rode on a horse.
I was going to say,
I got bow legs for that. I've ridden a horse twice my whole life.
Yeah, if you have horses and you're a sheriff, you can wear a cowboy hat. That's like the two things. So
Yeah, I do want to make sure one little sidebar, because obviously part of me and Walt's experience is with working with CASA. You got a passion for kids like I do, and I thought that was I met you during that time. I knew you had a passion for kids, and I thought you were a great addition to that whole board, and it was good. I think you did a good job with that, and I think people need to know that it isn't just about these positions, about what we do in the community. You've always been involved. I know that you've got the one, what was it, the trip that you always offered during CASA for the kids to participate in. Wasn't it Camp Crooked Creek? Was it that there? Or
no, it's the Kentucky Sheriff's Association operates the Sheriff's Boys and Girls Ranch, and that's we still have those spots open, and I urge anyone to get in touch with the sheriff's office any time of the year and start applying. But it'll be late June and July when the camp is open, and our spots are available, and we have spots for several boys and several girls to go to the camp.
Yeah, he's always brought that up in our CASA meetings, and I thought that was a great thing. So I want to make sure that if that's still available, that's awesome.
It is, and the cost is zero. We provide the transportation. The sheriff's office will provide the transportation to and from the camp. And
where's the camp at?
It's down in South Central Kentucky.
Okay.
And anyway, it's a great place.
Yeah, it's a great thing that you guys do. That program is good, so I'm glad that's still out there. And please reach out, because it's about kids, right? And a lot of times it's some kids that don't have the opportunity to experience some of these things, and it's just from what I've gathered that the kids just really enjoy that. So
they do.
I think the parents really appreciate that as well. I think Walt, for everything that you've done and you've been involved in this community and the history, that was a great piece. I didn't know that much. As long as I've known you, your family's been here since 1919, and listened to you about your family life. I think the biggest thing is that we do know, everybody knows here, that Lisa's the best thing about you.
Absolutely.
Now I just want to make sure that's clear. That's official.
That must be his wife.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, it is. She's a sweet lady. But anyway,
if you look in the dictionary under married up, there's a picture of me.
There's a picture of me too. Yeah, I've got Lynn, and I totally appreciate it. A very wonderful family. What I like is that you really have given a lot here, and I think sometimes that goes underrated. Sometimes people don't realize the commitment that you make for it. I mean, you think of it, all the years that you've served. You got almost 30 years. I mean, in all this time that you've got 30 years serving this community, and you're a big part of that. I think the biggest thing, what do you want people to know? You know, people know you a lot. I mean, everybody knows Walt, but what do you want them to know about what you've done? Is there something specifically you're focusing on in the sheriff's department? I know you've got some really good people there. I've seen your right hand man. I got to see him at lunch yesterday. That was awesome. And I think for me is what you would like people to know about what you're working on? We always have the issues of 65 and all that goes through there and the things. But what do you want to let people know?
Well, Jose, from the time I started working at the county attorney's office in 1980 on forward, one of the things that struck me that we as a community really needed to be doing is thinking about 5 years, 10 years, strategic thinking for how we're going to work at ensuring that Bullitt County is as good a place for our children and grandchildren to raise families as it has been for my parents and myself and yourself and so forth to raise families. And in order to do that, we have to look further than next Friday. We have to look further than 2025. We have to strategically look at, which by the way is one of the things that I'm absolutely thrilled about what I'm seeing with your administration.
I appreciate that.
Having a long history with Shepherdsville, and Shepherdsville's done a number of wonderful things over the years, but it's strategically moving forward to be a great 21st century city.
Yep.
Under your administration, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And we want to think that way. You're right.
So I used to advocate when I was county attorney that the county, and as county attorney, you give advice and you advocate. You don't get to make the final decisions on much.
Sure.
And so, but I used to advocate, create a committee. A committee back then, I used to call it, in 1992, I called it, I urged Committee 2000, then Committee 2010, then Committee 2020, so that and the role of that being look forward 10 years. Larger governments, the United States government, the city of Louisville, they have strategic committees that are doing that. The state of Kentucky has groups that are looking to what do we need to be trying to get set up for 10 years down the way. And so we didn't quite get that done during my years as county attorney. But at the sheriff's office, I'm looking to try to do the same thing. For too long and in too many communities across Kentucky, the sheriff's office is, people look at it and they'll have a vision for 4 years because you can change sheriff every time. Now the Bullitt County Fiscal Court, several years before I became sheriff, did envision and try to take and create some continuity by creating the Bullitt County Sheriff's Deputy Merit Board. And that ensures that a new sheriff that comes in, he cannot just terminate the sheriff's deputies at will. They can only be terminated for cause, and so that provides some continuity for sheriff's deputies to come to work there. But still, in folks' minds, I found as I was trying to hire new folks, some different ones would say, "Well, there's you never know whether you're going to have a job or not when the new administration starts with the sheriff's office." And so they would look at going to work for various city police departments. So what I've tried to do is ensure that in the deputies' minds and in the community's minds, this sheriff's office is going to be a strong professional organization that has continuity. And so in order to do that, I'm of the belief that it is the non-commissioned officer corps and the street level commanders that have to get on board, that I have to get on board with the vision of professionalism over the course of the next 10 years.
Yeah, I want to add to that because we talk about elections have consequences. Well, I don't like to believe that. If you know anything about what we did here, we made minimal changes. We kept everybody here. And I do think that the people need to be protected. The appointed positions here at the city is obviously the police chief, and the fire chief and their assistants. But I think you're on a path, because it can't be that a new person comes in and changes dynamically everything. You have good people. Take inventory. In the business world, you don't do that. You don't just fire everybody. You take inventory, get everybody, set expectations, develop people. And that piece isn't. But his segue, which he didn't mean to do, but he did, was about future planning.
Yeah.
So obviously I bring up the Aquatic Center 1,236 times. And I bring it up and people go, well, why would you do that? And one of the things I told them is, if you think about it, you have to make sure that you understand. We've got ducks coming in.
Is that a duck call?
It's a duck call. It's all good. It's all part of the show. It's all good. But I think what people will understand is if you look at this Aquatic Center, it's not only a good thing for Shepherdsville, it's a good thing for the county, but it's a regional impact. And so what it does is it brings, when people see that, they go like, oh, what a nice place. Let me go look and see what that place looks like. We want people to live here. We're tired of the whole stop, get gas, get some fast food, and take off down the road. And we became that. But what we realized, there are a lot of families that live here. We're a town that should be more community-minded, and we're doing that. And that kind of goes into your 5 and 10 and 20-year-old plan, because it isn't about us. Maybe about you, maybe your grandkids.
Always about me. No,
but it is. When we talk about it, we got to be thinking about, are we leaving it better?
Right.
Are we going to offer more things here? Mount Washington's a great town. E-Town, Bardstown, some of the towns that we like. So I think that thought process, Walt, we can't have good people looking over their shoulders. We got to have people feeling that if they're doing what they're supposed to do, they can feel secure in their job. And that because of the fact that you do deal with other entities, other police officers, and other departments, that there's a challenge. But hopefully everybody will keep it in mind. We want this county to do well. Obviously, I'm responsible for the city of Shepherdsville, but we can do these kind of things that make things work. And I think your forward thinking on that piece is the first piece, the technology piece that we're obviously, I know you guys are working on some things. Is there anything in that area that you see that you're working on, especially from the 65? I know we got a lot of things that challenge us with 65.
Well, one of the most challenging things that we have is our close proximity to Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
One of the great benefits that we have is our close proximity to Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah. One of the great things we have for Bullitt County is Interstate 65. One of the bad things we have for Bullitt County is Interstate 65. And so all of those things are double-edged swords. And what we have to do is, as the old adage goes, what do you do if you get a bunch of lemons? You make lemonade. So we have to take and turn. We have to be careful to work at changing things that may not be in our favor to our favor.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're working at doing. And one of the things that I promised folks I would be trying to do, and we are moving along very well in that direction, is seeing to it that we have a 21st century world-class law enforcement agency at the sheriff's office. And in doing that, what I look at is I scour and have my command staff, my executive staff, look at things that occur, are programs that are going on, the best practices across the United States of America for equally sized communities, equally sized agencies.
And dynamics of the interstate. I mean, because that's a very, listen, a town of 15,000 is different when you're talking about staffing at a city level of the police and the fire department. Because you would normally think if you were off the beaten path, that's a different kind of site versus what we deal with.
That's correct.
It goes back to the damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
65.
I was going to ask you're the sheriff, so you would probably know more than anybody. But, but you hear a lot about, we have 65 and we're right by Louisville. And I know that Louisville, it's a big deal because it's right in the middle of the country and it goes off and you can get everywhere in 6 hours from Louisville, basically. So I've always heard that there's a lot of is the drug trafficking and even human trafficking a big deal on 65? Do you see a lot of that?
Very much so. Bear in mind, Interstate 65 is one of the primary corridors for travel north and south from the Gulf of Mexico to ultimately Chicago, Gary, Indiana.
That's why opioids were so big here, because they came from Florida, right? They came up
Correct.
from Florida, yeah.
And a whole lot of that here, but then primarily, even more so, Interstate 75 over in eastern Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
That was the pill mill corridor.
Yeah.
Had national fame.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I watched Justified.
for that. Yes. And but so, and as you point out, population wise, Shepherdsville, whatever the Census Bureau determined the population was, well, but at any given time or throughout any given day,
That's right.
up that by thousands and thousands of all these folks that are driving.
How many cars?
$600,000 600,000 cars every day.
He says 600,000 cars like every episode.
That's kind of like the aquatic center. I would say this because I want people to really understand what we're managing. And I say this, and I want people to hear this, but don't take it the wrong way. We are not in small town running a city. We are in a very complex with the interstate, and now that we have this growth, we're talking a $30 million general budget and $9 million sewer budget, and over 150 employees, a lot of technical parts in all of this to make this operation work, and dealing with the things that we deal with. And again, the close proximity of Louisville, in the sense of the bad element, isn't taking long for a 20-minute joyride to be in Bullitt County, right? So then those are concerns for us from a criminal activity. But we also need to know that we have people that live in Louisville, good, hardworking people that don't want the schools, don't want the crime act or the taxes. We can move south to Bullitt County and be part of a good community. So the things that you do at the county level and what we try to do in each of the cities is we want to welcome you and feel like you're in a safe, clean community. That's what we're trying to look for. And I think that's our goal. And I think if you people will continue to listen to folks like yourself, Walt, who've been involved a lot of times in this community, we want people to really understand one thing. We really want this community to be the best it can be. And it takes a lot of people to do that. You've got a great command staff over there. You've got some good people doing good things. We feel like we have it here at the city. Well, when we move forward, if we keep this forward thinking, we are going to make it good for our kids and grandkids and their kids too. It's because we're going to offer them things that make this the community, and then we have to protect that community. And it comes from a county level. We have a great relationship with you guys here. I've talked to my Chief Steve Schmidt, just a great guy to have on my team. He's working with you guys a lot and communicating well. That's the partnerships we got to have, because the more working together, and then if we get the neighborhood watches and people helping us with that, we need eyes on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about all those programs.
You're absolutely right. And, from a professionalism standpoint, when I became sheriff, what I did not have a chief deputy, did not run with a chief deputy, and I advised folks as I was running and throughout that what I was going to do is seek the highest quality chief deputy that the funds we have available could hire from a professional standpoint and a police experience standpoint. And originally, the chief deputy that I appointed in March of 2019 was Marcus Latham, who subsequently went on to be the chief at Mount Washington. He had retired from the Louisville Metro Police Department. And as I understand now, Marcus is the chief of security for MSD in Louisville.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so then, subsequent to Marcus, I was able to convince Alex Payne to come on board as chief deputy. And Alex's background is he was 20 years with the Kentucky State Police, and then he went to work for the Kentucky League of Cities as a law enforcement specialist and dealt with police departments all across the state. Subsequent to that, he went back to J-Town and was commander of their patrol division, and then he became deputy commissioner of the Kentucky State Police, and subsequent to that, he was commissioner of the Department of Criminal Justice Training. And so, it was a win-win for Bullitt County when he came on board as our chief deputy. We have Major Kevin Despain, who has had a storied career at Louisville, serving as the commander of their police academy and was over their public integrity unit and so forth there. Another great fella, our captain over patrol is James Carr. He retired from the Shively Police Department, but he started out at the Vine Grove Police Department in rural Kentucky.
Other than Vine Grove.
Then we have Gerald Bates, who is our captain over our court security process and prisoner transport. And he retired as a major with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, lives here in Bullitt County, and he did all of those roles. He was in charge of court security for the Louisville Hall of Justice, moved prisoners around the state and so forth for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. So we have a tremendous group of
I'm about to say, sounds like a good team. Yeah.
So what I want you to hear is that he didn't just hire his friends.
Right, yeah.
He hired qualified people. And I think we want people to understand that. I get the small town feel, and you might know somebody that you might think be good, but we live in a different world today.
It almost sounds like all those people could have been sheriff. You know what I mean? So it's like,
again,
we basically
but that's
got
the people
5
that
or
you
6
want.
sheriffs.
I mean, and it goes back
well,
to,
and my job is to surround myself with people that know more than I do,
right?
And I feel I've done a good job of doing that.
Yep.
And they are left to. I work at trying to provide the overall mission, the overall spirit of where we want to move to, but leave them to take care of doing it. And I've always thought, the sheriff's office is sort of a combination of a chief of police and a mayor. It's two combined in one is what it really is. Being an elected official, you and I have the same people that we're responsible to, which is Jesus Christ and the people of Bullitt County.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and we have the same people that Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, is responsible to.
Yep.
The same people that Donald Trump is responsible to.
Yes, sir.
Which again is Jesus Christ and the people that have elected us.
That's right.
And so, whereas. And in that vein, having the opportunity to make the decisions that will try to ensure that we have a vibrant, moving forward sheriff's office going on. And I'm very proud that we have, with the assistance of the fiscal court, because couldn't do anything without them. They provide a tremendous amount of financial support and spiritual support for the sheriff's office. But with them, we've moved from the day before I became sheriff, there were 16 patrol deputies with the sheriff's office. Wow. Today we have 26.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we need 20. We actually, if you look at models across the state based upon our population and our square mileage that we have 300 square miles to patrol.
It's a big county. Most people don't get it.
The national models show that we could use several more deputies on patrol and so forth, but we're growing, and with the fiscal court's assistance and the assistance of the cities, we're going to continue to grow. And again, I want to pat Shepherdsville on the back as well as the other cities in the county. We couldn't provide the good police protection that we do if it weren't for the cooperation of the cities. And I think that we have a very wonderful cooperative spirit going both ways between the city police agencies and the county sheriff's office. We help the cities help us, and we couldn't get it done without that spirit.
Yeah, I do think that. Obviously, the activity, just again, we talked about the interstate, the traffic issues, and just what happens during that time. I think, Walt, the biggest thing I want people to know is you've got a long time that you've been involved in your commitment to this community. And I speak for myself, but I'm sure I speak for many when I say thank you for your service. Yeah. I mean, really do. I think it's great. I love your history of your family. I love what you do. I'm not riding horses. You can ride all the horses you want to. I'll just stay on my feet, just on the ground, and not on a horse. But I do want to say thank you for being here. What we'd like to do with a lot of our guests, we're going to bring you back next year and just kind of catch up, follow up on things that you're working on. You said you got some forward thinking. You got some great people. And listen, we do things. This county is one of the top 5 fastest growing counties in the state. And I want us to be proud of that. We have a lot of working relationships that are all going to be in place to continue this growth and make people feel like, why not Bullitt County? Why not Shepherdsville? And we're doing the things. I think we're all doing it at all levels, and it takes good people. And I think that's all that we recognize, especially in leadership roles. We realize that we need good people to make that happen. So I want to wish you and your family a great 2025. And I'll even tell you Merry Christmas, even if it comes on in January. Merry Christmas to you and your family. But listen, you have one big task. One more time, can I get that email address?
That's yeswayjosemail@gmail.com.
Thank you nicely. All right, so we always end this podcast, if you've never listened to any of these podcasts, and we're going to make sure everybody gets to hear the one with Walt Sholar on it. But we go 1, 2, 3, love, peace, chicken grease. You ready for that now? I'm going to go 1, 2, 3.
He's like, what?
He's going to go, what are we doing here? It's a love, peace, chicken grease. It's a long story, but it's from a goofy movie. It's the way I say goodbye to folks. Instead of saying goodbye, I just go love, peace, chicken grease. So anyway, 1, 2, 3. Love, peace, chicken grease. Thank you, Walt. Have a great one.
You too.